Hey, welcome back to another word of advice video. This is Bobb-z Callahan here, and for today's video I wanted to again talk about a topic which relates to all of us and relates to the choices that we make. And I just wanted to simply talk about making a choice slowly when it's possible. Now, I know that sometimes you're going to have to make a decision on the spot because some circumstances will require you to do that. However, there are also times when we can make a choice with a whole lot more time. And there are plenty of examples that I could think of when it comes to how we can make a choice and make it slowly. Whether this is on how you want to spend your evening if you're going out somewhere to eat. Well, if you live in a neighborhood with a lot of restaurants, and maybe some are more expensive or some are not, you have more time to think to yourself where you want to go. Or when it comes to what you're going to buy, I talked about this in the last video, how you spend your money. You know, if you're going out to buy a gift for yourself or someone else, you're bound to have more time when it comes to what choice you're going to make. Point is, there are plenty of examples in life when we can make a decision, but we have a whole lot more time to make a decision, and sometimes we may not always see that. We might want to make a decision very quickly, but sometimes making a decision too quickly is not the best way to go, because if we make a decision too fast, well, over time we are bound to make some decisions which we're going to think in the future, shoot, I should have thought that over a lot more because now I regret the decision I've made. In short, there are plenty of times when we can actually think, and we can stop and say to ourselves, what are all the options that we have when it comes to this decision that I'm making? You know, some decisions that we make in life are really huge. Say, for example, that you're going to go to college. You have definitely thought about it and you want to go to college somewhere. Well, there are plenty of colleges in the world that you could go to, plenty in your country or other countries, and you have time to think to yourself where you want to go to college, and whether that's going to be the time that you have in your senior year, or if you decide not to go to college right after your senior year, you have time after that to think where you want to go. If you take time to think about a big decision like that with the time that you're given, and after you've thought about it thoroughly and prayed about it, well, if you've taken time to pray about it and think about it for a while, you're giving yourself a better chance of making a better decision instead of acting on impulse. When we have those opportunities to really think about something for a while and then we make our decision, odds are the results will be better. I'm not saying they're going to be perfect, because we all make mistakes even after we think about a decision after a while, but usually if we don't take time to think about a decision, there are probably going to be more mistakes. However, if you do take more time to think about a decision you want to make, there's probably going to be less mistakes made in the process if you make decisions that way, when it's possible to make a decision slowly. You know, I remember one time, and this is an example of where I think I made a poor decision. I was on my senior trip with someone I used to hang out with, and we went to Cedar Point for 4 days. Now, I had a pretty good amount of money with me, and some of that was for gas, and some of that was for food, and, you know, I thought, maybe I'll have a little bit for something I may want at Cedar Point. Well, I will never forget one day where the person I used to hang out with and myself, we went to Cedar Point, and we passed by a store where, I actually have it with me, I saw this pony on a stick in one of the shops, and I just thought, that's interesting. I went inside to look at it. I saw how much it was. It was about $40. $40. And I was like, wow, that's a bit much. So I didn't buy it. But then, later on in the day, it was about to rain. And at this time, even though I had a pretty good idea on how to spend my money, I still, well, let's see, this was in 2011. Now it's 2014. I was 3 years younger, and I hadn't been practicing this as much yet when it comes to how I spend my money. I had the idea to just buy this horse, and when the midway was clear, like in a part where people walk a lot, I had the idea, if I buy this pony on a stick and I ride it out on the midway, that it would be a fun idea and a lot of people would see me. And I've got all this extra money, so why not do it? I ended up buying that pony on a stick and riding it out on, it was somewhere at Cedar Point where people walk, and I got people to look at me. I thought it was a fun idea, but then I thought, wow, I am $40 short. And every time I've mentioned this story to people, they say, you could have bought that for like $2 at another store where they sell things like that for dirt cheap. The point is, I had a decision to either buy this possession or let it go. And this was an example of when I did not make the best choice. Now, I will say that there have been some other uses with this possession. Actually, some opportunities I've used it where, you know, it's actually fit in with the theme for an event that I've been at, but still, it hasn't been often, and that was $40. And $40 is a good chunk of change. It's nothing to laugh at. You could spend that on food. You could spend that on maybe that new nice shirt or those new pants that you need. Whatever it is. The point is, I did not make the best decision at that time. So, even though I can look back on that now and say, that was funny, I still also think to myself sometimes, that was $40 and I could have saved that. Now I can say, on the flip side, a time when I made a much better choice, and I had the time to think about it for a while, was when I applied for a job at a church in 2012. I remember it was January 2012, and let's see, I believe the application was due by April 1st. So I had 3 months to think to myself, hey, I have this chance to apply for a job and receive a job, even though it's temporary. I have the chance to receive this job where I can do something that I am passionate about. So I prayed to God about it, and I thought about it for a couple months, and then I turned my application in, and it just so happened that I got the job. And I was very happy that I made the decision to apply for a youth ministry internship job, and that time I had thinking and praying about that decision paid off for me. I did not rush into it. I actually did take time to think about this decision, and it paid off. In conclusion, just remember, there are plenty of choices that we make in life, and there are plenty of times when we have a good amount of time to make a choice, whether it be on something small, like this, or whether it be on the decision of going to a college, which is bigger. We all have those times where we can make a choice, but then we have time to make that choice. I would say if you ever have those chances to make a decision, but you got time to think about it, take advantage of it. Take advantage of that time you have to make your choice. Don't rush into things, but actually take time to think about things and pray to God about the decisions that you could make. Every time that I have decided to actually think about decisions, and every time I pray to God for decisions, I end up with better results. So overall, I hope what I've had to talk about when it comes to making choices, and when you have more time to think about choices, I hope what I've had to talk about on this topic will come in handy for you. And I wish you the best of luck in your life when it comes to making choices when you have time to make them. And be sure to come back for another word of advice video.